And we're back on Northumberland at 5. I'm Jolie Manez. Fashion and film lovers alike can look forward to the Vintage Film Festival, happening at Port Hope's Capitol Theatre from October 16th to 18th. Festival director Rick Hill discussed the inspiration behind this year's theme, the selection of the featured films the audiences can look forward to, and what makes of the Vintage Film Festival a unique experience for movie lovers in Northumberland.
The Vintage Film Festival arose out of the Marie Dressler Foundation, which was founded back in the early 90s to restore Marie Dressler's birthplace in Cobourg, Ontario, and create a museum there. So the foundation was formed, and then as a fundraiser for the foundation, they began holding screenings of vintage films, including Marie Dressler's films and other contemporary films from her time, so vintage films. So that started back in 1993. So we had our 30th anniversary of the Vintage Film Festival just a few years ago.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So this year's the 33rd program, and so the festival is a principal fundraiser for the Marie Dressler Foundation, and enables it to meet its objectives as an incorporated charity, which are mainly educational, so perpetuating the legacy of Marie Dressler, maintaining her birthplace as a museum, maintaining the Canadian Women in Film Museum, which is housed there now, and we also give bursaries to local Northumberland County High School graduates every June.
That's great. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because when I graduated in 2024, I received one of the bursaries from the Marie Dressler Foundation.
I Googled you and I saw that you received a bursary from the
Oh my
VFF
goodness.
Theater. I think
Yes.
they do that. They do that too.
Okay, that's wonderful. It's crazy how it's a small world. Small world, it really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so this year's theme is Best Dressed, and you've chosen films with iconic costumes or ones set in the fashion industry and such. Could you explain that theme a little more and what exactly it encompasses and why you decided on that theme for this year?
Sure thing. So, every year we do shape our program out a theme, and as you said, this year it's Best Dressed. Sounded intriguing to us and gave us a number of different angles that we could take to pick the programs that make up this year's festival. So, there are a number of films which are set in a fashion milieu. We've got a couple of musicals this year, Fashions of 1934 and Funny Face, which are both set in the fashion industry, and also Antonioni's film Blow Up, which protagonist of that is a fashion photographer. And then we've got some films that established iconic characters with their iconic costume that goes with them. So Charlie Chaplin's Tramp, Rudolph Valentino's Chic, and Bela Lugosi's Dracula. Those are the three earliest films on this year's program. We've got some other films that have specific wardrobe items in there that the people remember. So Marilyn Monroe with her white dress billowing up around her hips in Billy Wilder's 7-Year Itch. Carrie in her prom dress in the Brian De Palma film, and then The Red Shoes by Powell and Pressburger, which is a fascinating film. The Red Shoes is only the title of the film, but it's the title of the ballet that's danced within the film. It's the title of the Hans Christian Andersen story that the ballet is adapted from. And the actual red shoes themselves, red ballet slippers that the ballerina wears in the movie, well, they practically become characters in their own right by the end of the film. And we've got a couple of films that won the Best Costume Design Oscar. The Heiress won Edith Head her first Best Costume Design Oscar. She wound up winning 8 total, which is a record. Fabulous 60s Italian wardrobe in that film. Around the World in 80 Days, which is said to hold the record for the most costumes that ever created for a Hollywood film. And then as our family film this year, which is something we started doing every year, has something that parents and grandparents can bring the kids to. Disney's 101 Dalmatians with Cruella de Vil, who wants to make fur coats out of the Dalmatian puppies' pelts. And that makes our program. We show 13 films every year, and always 2 silent films that have live accompaniment. This year's no exception to that. We have our favorite accompanist, Jordan Clapman, coming up from Toronto to accompany the Tramp and the Chic. And we always have at least one musical. Got a couple this year. Always have one foreign language film. This year it's Fellini's 8.5. And we always have try always to have a family-friendly film. This year it's 101 Dalmatians. And then have a mix of time periods and genres. This year we have films from 7 different decades through the 20th century, and covering a range of genres: drama, comedy, horror movies, melodrama. All kinds of good stuff. Something for everyone.
Yeah, I had no idea actually that there was so much variety. So, are there certain deciding factors that go into choosing the films for the programs every time we have the festival?
Yeah. So once we settled on a program theme, then we want to be sure, as I said, always a couple of silent films, always a foreign language film. We always want to have at least one musical because people enjoy those. We try always to have one, family-friendly film. And then we want, the mix of types of films. So, literally, there's going to be something for everyone. And then we need to consider availability. That's usually not an issue. We can usually get our hands on whatever film we want to show. We need to consider running time. Packing 13 films into a weekend that begins mid-afternoon on Friday and it's just about supper time on Sunday. It can take a little juggling to put them together. So we've got a little juggling, a little taking this title out, putting in this other title, and until it works out, and we've got what seems like a nice looking program. A program that flows in a good kind of sequence, and we don't wind up with people not getting out of the theater until after midnight on Saturday. We don't want that.
And so you mentioned it already, but one thing I was looking at when I was looking into the event was that the silent films that you feature have the live accompaniment. Could you tell us more about that and why it's an important part of the festival?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we always get live accompanists to provide that in-the-moment musical soundtrack for our silent films. As part of making sure we have a broad scope and range of films that we're showing. We always want to have a couple of silent films so that we're not neglecting that big part of cinema history. And silent films really need to be experienced the way they were experienced back in the day. Someone actually had a piano or the theater organ, or sometimes they have a little band or even a small orchestra providing live music to go with the films. Before sound was introduced in 1927, there were no recorded soundtracks for films. It was always live and in the moment. Jordan Clapman, for instance, is coming to provide the piano accompaniment for our 2 films this year. It's a little bit of a high wire act to be making that music happen live. No retakes, no second takes. It's got to flow with that movie all the way through from beginning to end, and kind of thrilling for an audience to see a film where that music is being created right in the moment while you're watching it. If you want to focus on the pianist while you're watching, you can do that. And for myself, I tend after a while to completely forget that he's playing there and just get immersed in the movie with the sound that's coming with it. And then every now and then you remember, there's a guy sitting there and he's playing this music live. It's a terrific experience and really the only way to go with silent films.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a really interesting part. So I think it's important to capture the way those films probably were meant to be watched, and I do imagine, it must be you must be a really skilled pianist to be able to kind of follow along with that, because it's a little bit different than if it's all live theater, because the film, it can't really adjust or stop, so you're just kind of you're the one that kind of has to adjust or stop if you're the one doing the accompaniment.
Right, the actors aren't going to cover for you if you have a little issue with the piano, no. And it's an experience that people in this area don't get to have that often. Now, if you live in Toronto, there are a number of places they're frequently screening of silent films with live accompaniment. Jordan Clapman, who's playing for us, is often a part of those. It's not a really common thing. Everyone deserves to experience that for themselves sometime.
And I guess it's a good segue. So many of the films in this year's lineup are quite old, over like half a century. Why do you think these pieces of film history are still so significant, and what do you think they still have to say to the modern audiences that will be watching it at the Vintage Film Festival?
It's an interesting experience and relevant in a lot of different ways. So as you say, I mean, a couple of films we're showing are over a century old. Our two silent films come from 1915 and 1921, so they were there a long time ago. And so much changes over the years, and the style of making movies, the approach to cinema has developed over time. Movies, in the past 20, 30, 40 years, the approach that's taken to making them is, quite different in a lot of ways from the approaches that were taken during the vintage era, which for us, all of the films we show each year are at least 50 years old. There's a really classic quality to the films from that period, 1976 and earlier. A different kind of artistry, a different kind of aesthetic approach, many aspects of how movie making was approached. And, if you see the same thing in any other art form, like novels or plays or, styles change over the years, and you go back to a certain period in any of those art forms, and you find there's periods where everything seems to have been done right. There's a really tight, unified, consistent, satisfying approach taken that still really resonates. And that's true, I think, for these vintage films. Another thing that's interesting and sort of valuable about watching these films is a bit of a sociological history lesson, seeing what attitudes were at different times. And quite frankly, some of these films have contents or attitudes or ways of referring to people that we don't approve of now, but they reflect the attitudes of those times. This is educational for us to know about this. Plus, it's so interesting to see ideas about costume, for instance, about dress, and the cars, the furnishings, the decorative styles of those times. It's another kind of cultural history lesson in each one of these films when you come to see them at Port Hope's beautiful Capitol Theatre, where the program is put on.
Yeah, I never thought of films as, I guess, mini history lessons almost, but now that you're saying that, it's a good point, because they do capture of their time period the way of dress and the attitudes and the way the buildings look, the way places around look, the way people talk. So that is actually an amazing point on the educational perspective of that.
Yeah, I think that's true. And coming to this festival and watching it at the Capitol Theatre in Port Hope, I mean, that's kind of a history experience in itself, because Capitol Theatre was built in 1930 to show talking pictures when they were practically brand new, and it has been restored to the condition and the decor of the theater back at that time. And it's a beautiful space, a really nice space to watch vintage movies in.
So if we can pivot, one other thing I saw when I was looking into the festival was there's a mention of clothes items for sale, and you guys run a silent auction. Could you tell us a bit more about that? I know you mentioned the Vintage Film Festival is a major fundraiser.
Yep, that's right. So the Vintage Film Festival is more than just vintage films. So each year we have merchandise for sale. There's new merchandise each year themed to that year's festival. This year we're going to have some new T-shirts. We're going to have sunglasses, cooler bags with the festival name and some cool images on them. And we always do have a silent auction, and it's a pretty great silent auction with a lot of auction lots and very interesting things that people have donated. A lot of stuff related to film, but also it can be paintings, jewelry, gift packages. You name it, you never know what you're going to find there. Another part of the festival that we haven't touched on is the Sunday lunchtime film talk that we do each year on Sunday afternoon between the morning and the afternoon films. Have someone related to the movie industry comes and has a talk. So this year, fittingly enough, for our Best Dressed program, we have an award-winning Canadian costume designer who's going to come. There's going to be an on-stage interview with one of our team members, and so you can tell us about what's involved in creating award-winning costumes for Canadian movies and television. His name is Alexander Rita. He's won 3 Canadian Screen Awards for costumes, including for Anne with an E and Murdoch Mysteries.
Oh, that's wonderful. You're right. I didn't even know about that. So, where do a lot of your silent auction items usually come from?
They're all donated.
Mm-hmm.
We don't buy things to then auction
Yeah, of course.
off. Some of our individual team members may buy things and donate them, but yeah, it's pretty much all donations. So what we raise on the silent auction is 100% profit that can go to the foundation's educational activities.
Is it usually donations from local artists or just people looking to give you guys something to silent auction, or?
Yeah, we have artwork from 1 or 2 local artists, some local businesses, restaurants, and so forth will often donate gift certificates. A lot of VFF team members and friends of the festival will donate items, but it's all good stuff, and it's a really interesting and big selection of stuff to browse through when you're during those little moments between the films when you've gotten a bag of free popcorn, free popcorn all weekend at the festival. Get yourself a bag of free popcorn and then browse through the silent auction and maybe make a couple of bids before you go in for the next film.
So, I mean, we covered so much of it, but just kind of as a wrap-up, as someone who's never attended the Vintage Film Festival before, what can they expect from the experience, besides amazing free popcorn?
Yeah. Well, it is a great experience. It's not just sitting watching movies, but it's an entire experience with the weekend. So 13 great films. The Sunday lunchtime interview with our costume designer Alex Rita. The merchandise, silent auction, free popcorn. Did I mention free popcorn? And also anyone 25 years or under. I bet you fall into that category. If tickets are free, you can get a free weekend pass or free single tickets to any film. We want to be sure that young people have the opportunity to come and experience these films and experience the festival. There's the theater will be full of people who love movies, and so some great conversations and debates can spring up. A big crowd of very like-minded people who are all there to enjoy movies together, and that's another aspect of the experience. You could screen any or all of these movies at home, off of Netflix or whatever, but to come and watch them in a purpose-built movie theater with a lot of other film lovers in the other seats, and you're all experiencing it simultaneously, and you're hearing and feeling their responses to the films. It's a great experience, especially with comedies and musical comedies, and you're a whole theater full of people laughing with you. And that's just a wonderful experience.
You kind of beat me to my next question already, but I was going to ask you, so many people today, yes, like you mentioned, they watch films through streaming and services like Netflix or just online or through social media clips. Further than what you already explained, why do you think there's still value in gathering together to watch films in the, I guess, classic, all-together, in-person way, like the experience the festival is offering, especially in the age now where really it's a little bit less of how people would decide how to watch a movie?
Movies like so much else now that can be streamed at home or called up on your phone or whatever, you can experience them just alone by yourself, or perhaps with one significant other or a couple of friends. But that doesn't give you that social connection, that feeling of being part of a big group of people who are all interested in this and experiencing it all together live. Just it takes it to another dimension, and I don't know. I think you could probably argue it's good for your mental health to come out and see movies in a big movie theater full of movie lovers.
I would agree. Well, I'm a little bit biased because I am studying theater, but I do think live performance, or even not even if it's live performance, but experiencing art that you can watch together is it. I feel it's so important as a human experience, I guess, and I think it just needs to remain strong, and people just need to continue going out and watching things. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, perfect. Okay, I think that's all I had to ask you. If was there anything else you wanted to cover or add?
I think that probably about covers it. We were talking about the Vintage Film Festival experience. There's always a buzz there. It's always a lot of fun. There's usually one or two surprises, and this year will be no exception. Last year we got ourselves one of those step and repeat banners that you see at other festivals and special events. This year being best dressed year, we encourage everybody to come in their best dressed version of themselves, pose in front of the banner and get their picture taken. And we Cruella de Vil will be at the festival herself and available to get pictures taken with her.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is very cool. So, for people who are interested in attending, can you let us know the dates and the times and where they can find more information?
Right. So the festival will take place on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, October 16th, 17th, and 18th in Port Hope at the Capitol Theatre. Information is available from our website, vintagefilmfestival.ca. Tickets for the festival will be going on sale in just days. I think this Friday, June the 26th, is our target for tickets to go on sale. Might possibly be the following Monday, but that's what we're shooting for. So they'll be available soon. As I mentioned, anyone 25 and under can order a festival pass that covers the whole weekend or individual tickets at no cost. Over 25, the festival pass is a great buy. Lets you see any or all of the 13 films, attend the Sunday lunchtime talk, get the whole festival experience. And this year, for the first time, as a perk for people who buy a festival pass, we are going to let them obtain free single tickets to any film as well, so they can pick a film and bring a friend. A couple buy two passes, and they can bring another couple of friends to see one of the films with them.
Rick Hill of the Marie Dressler Foundation speaking on the upcoming Vintage Film Festival. Reporting for Northumberland at 5, I'm Jolie Manez.